All right, hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we are looking at Chapter 3, Section 1.2. All right, I
Today
am
we're
also going to
specifically going to
apologize.
cover
I left my
highlands,
AirPods
plains,
at
and
school,
plateaus of North
and
America,
if y'all can tell,
some
I
of
am
the
recording
major rivers and
at
lakes,
Mi
and then
Casa,
talk a
my
little bit
house.
about a
So
variety
I
of
don't have my AirPods
climates.
with me.
So
I
our main
can't find
idea
any
for
other
this lesson is
headphones,
that North
so
America
hopefully you
has a
guys can
wide
hear this
variety of
okay.
landforms, bodies of
So
water,
today
and
we're going to be looking at the
climates.
Great Plains, which
So
we've
before
kind
we
of talked
jump
about a
into the
bit in Section
lesson,
1.1,
North America
but we're going to take a
stretches
bit more of a deep
from
dive into them
the
today.
cold Arctic of
We're going
northern
to first look
Canada
at where
to
the
the
Great
warm
Plains
tropics of
are, and then we're
Mexico.
going to look at
So
farming on the
at the
Great Plains, which
center
is one
of
of
North America
the
lies the
big
48
things to know
contiguous
about the Great
United
Plains.
States, which
And then
means
we're going
that
to
they
wrap
are all
up with
connected one
talking about
block.
some energy resources
So you
also
might have
from the
noticed I
Great
said
Plains.
48
Our main
of
idea for this
the
section
United
is going to be
States.
that
We
the
know
Great
that there are
Plains of the
50
United
states in
States
the
and
United
Canada are
States.
a very
So the state
rich
of Alaska is in
agricultural
the
region
northwest of the
with
continent,
valuable
and then the
energy
islands of the
resources.
state of Hawaii are in the
All right,
Pacific
I am also
Ocean.
going to apologize. So the Great Plains region runs through the center of the continent. The crops grown there feed the population in North America, with enough left to export or send to other countries for aid or profit. On the screen here on the right side, you can see a couple images of farmland. The Great Plains were historically known for animals like buffalo or bison. And then if you look at the map, you'll see that kind of yellowish color in the middle of the U.S. and Canada. That's the Great Plains, is what we consider it as. You'll see that where we are in Missouri falls into that, and about the top half of Missouri does. So that's where we'll be looking at today. So the Great Plains are really well suited to agriculture for two main reasons. First, the soil of the Great Plains is rich with nutrients, so it produces bountiful crops, produces a lot of crops. Second, the climate on the Great Plains is temperate, which, if we remember back, temperate climate means it's good weather. Like it's not, you don't get as many of the extremes. And the area usually has a plentiful amount of rain. That does come with a bit of a caveat, though, because some years rainfall is below the normal amount for a long period of time, which causes a drought that can kill crops. For example, in the 1930s, the region experienced a drought that lasted for several years. Plowing of native prairie grasses that helped hold the soil contributed to some pretty massive soil erosion. So that's where the soil didn't have anything to hold on to, so it kind of got kicked up quite a bit. The plains became known as the Dust Bowl. The persistent winds in the area stirred up the clouds of dry soil or dust. However, today we can use those winds as a source of power. So today, most of the original prairie land has been replaced by fields of wheat, corn, and other grains. These crops are grown on huge farms where planting and harvesting are done by machine. Such large, highly productive farms are typical of commercial agriculture, which is defined as the business of producing crops to sell. The other thing that's kind of unique about this area is that we use the rivers, such as the Missouri and the Mississippi, to transport goods from the Great Plains to the lowland areas. Another thing that we will do is take grain from the Canadian plains and move it by rail, by train, to the Atlantic Ocean, and by ship to the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River. All right, favorite part of the video, when Louie comes to say hello. Hello, Louie. He's not amused with me right now. That's okay. So, looking at energy resources, the Great Plains of the United States and Canada are home to some pretty major deposits of oil and natural gas. The main oil fields in the United States are found in the southern part of the Great Plains, which reaches from Kansas to Texas. Texas also has many offshore oil fields in the Gulf of Mexico. However, it should be known that commercial drilling in the Gulf of Mexico is really risky. Oil deposits lie beneath layers of salt that can shift and cause major underwater earthquakes. For example, in 2010, human error caused an explosion of a large deep water drilling structure, which resulted in a major oil spill. The spill harmed wildlife and threatened the economy of the region. And I was actually reading that we still, 12 years later, have some long-term effects from that oil spill down in the Gulf of Mexico. Having said that, even though things like oil are possibly not the best energy source to use, we still have to obviously find some way to get energy. And energy resources from the Great Plains are really important to the United States because in the US, we use more energy than we produce. So one of the things that we've been looking into are wind energy. You'll see on their screen a couple examples of some wind turbines that you see, especially in these areas where there are a lot of flat land. Looking at some of these alternate energy sources is really important, and there have actually been some government um, rules and regulations passed recently that are really urging companies and individuals to move more to these alternate energy sources. So my guess is that we may end up seeing more of these wind turbines continue to be built. All right, so to wrap up our lesson for today, remember from the section, the Great Plains lies in the central of the U.S. and Canada. The Great Plains are also a major source of agriculture in the U.S., and they also have some other resources like oil and natural gas, in addition to being a place where we can look at other alternate energy sources like wind turbines. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to check in Canvas and see what you have next, and I will see you guys later. Bye.